Every year, between the last Saturday in November and the first Sunday in December, Mears Road becomes a carnival of Christmas lights. Every single house on Mears Street shouts out Christmas. Every single house but Mears. When Mia was 8 years old, she asked her mum if they could get some light-up reindeer for the roof. But Mia's mum said that she didn't see the point. When Mia was 9 years old, she pleaded with her mum to buy the luminous inflatable snowman that they'd seen in the supermarket. But Mia's mum said that she didn't want to waste her money. So, when Mia was 10 years old, she hatched a plan. This was the year she was going to convince her mum to decorate their house in lights. This was the year her house was going to look like everybody else's. One November morning, during wet play, Mia turned to the back of her maths book and scribbled down 3 words: Operation Christmas Light. She dotted the I's with tiny stars and she scribbled down the 3 stages of her strategy. Mia ripped the page out of her book and stuffed it into her pocket. Stage 1, get mum Christmassy. The first part of the plan was easy. Mia's mum might have been a Scrooge about Christmas lights, but she had a soft spot for festive films. Every year she picked up DVDs from the charity shop, and they now had a pile that was as tall as Mia. When Mia got home from school that night, she put on The Grinch, her favourite. The next night, Home Alone, her mum's favourite. And the night after that, Muppets Christmas Carol, grandma's favourite. At the end of the week, Mia's mum came down the stairs wearing a red jumper that she only wore at Christmas. Stage 1, get mum Christmassy, was complete. Stage 2, show mum where you can buy Christmas lights from without mum realising that you're showing her. This required quite a bit of cunning. On one of their Tuesday night trips to the supermarket, Mia picked up a pile of catalogues and shoved them in her bag. When she got home, she found the page with all the outdoor decorations. She opened each catalogue in that exact place, and she left copies in every room of the house. The next morning, Mia was woken by her mum shouting from the bathroom, "Mia, why is there a catalogue on the shower? I've just stood on it and nearly broken my ankle." Stage 2 was causing problems, so Mia decided to move on. Stage 3, make mum love light. The final part of the plan was tricky. Mia wanted to show her mum that lights could be beautiful, but she didn't have much to work with. Apart from Mia's nightlight, the only illumination in their house came from spots and strips on the ceiling. Mia had to think creatively. One Saturday afternoon, whilst Mia's mum was out working another shift, Mia had an idea. She checked the clock in the kitchen. Mum would be home in 15 minutes. She had just enough time. Mia pulled the sweet tin from the cupboard and opened it up, revealing round boiled sweets wrapped in colourful plastic. Mia took out a red sweet from the tin, opened it up, ate it, and then flattened out the wrapper between her palms. She took a green sweet, opened it up, ate it, flattened the wrapper. Yellow sweet. Open, eat, flatten, repeat. Open, eat, flatten, repeat. Before long, Mia had a belly full of sugar and a pile of sparkling, colourful plastic. She grabbed the wrappers, grabbed some sellotape and jumped up on a chair. Working quickly and carefully, she taped each individual wrapper onto the long, thin plastic bulb that ran along the length of the ceiling, until it was wrapped up like a boiled sweet. Mia checked the clock. Mum would be home in 2 minutes. She leant across the narrow kitchen and switched the light on. The light bulb flickered into life. The kitchen was bathed in rainbow. If this didn't make Mia's mum fall in love with light, then Mia didn't know what would. She looked up at the clock. And then the back door opened. The door hit the chair hit the floor, Mia grabbed the light left the ceiling, and Mia hit the floor. Mia's mum screamed. Mia's mum looked down at her daughter sprawled out on the floor, covered in sweet wrappers and bits of ceiling plaster. She looked around the kitchen. A catalogue selling light-up Christmas trees lay open next to the kettle, and next to the microwave, and next to the toaster. Home Alone played loudly in the living room. Mia's mum sat down next to Mia on the floor. She brushed the dust off her jumper and pulled a wrapper out of her hair. "Are you trying to tell me something, Mia?" Mia stared at the floor. "I was just trying to make you buy some Christmas lights so our house would look real good." Mia's mum picked up a purple sweet wrapper and twisted it between her fingers. "The thing is, Mia, is those lights, they're quite expensive. And the thing is, they make the electricity bill like really, really expensive." She dropped the wrapper on the floor. "I hate being the Grinch, but we just can't afford it. Especially now we need a new kitchen ceiling." Mia and her mum looked up. Where the light had been, there was an ugly tear. Mia whispered, "I just want our house to look like the others on our road." Mia's mum sighed. They sat in silence amongst the rubble. After a while, Mia's mum spoke. "Do you know what?" Mia's mum thought for a second. "We've got something much better than Christmas lights." She stood up. "Come on, follow me." She led them through to the living room, walked over to the end of the sofa and crouched down. "Grab that end." Mia did as she was told, and they lifted the sofa from the floor. "Okay, we're going to take this to the front door," said her mum, using her chore voice. Mia protested. "We can't take this, it's heavy, Mia," shouted her mum. Okay, protested Mia, giving in to whatever this was. They manoeuvred the sofa down the hallway and through the front door, out into the cold evening air, dropping it down in the front yard facing away from the house. Mia's mum, her nose turning red from the cold, continued with the instructions. "Go and grab a blanket from upstairs. I'm going to get something from my lovely clean kitchen." She stuck her tongue out and went inside. Mia smiled and followed. By the time she'd found the blanket, her mum was back outside, sitting on the sofa with 2 mugs of hot Ribena. Mia sat down next to her, pulled the blanket over their legs and took one of the mugs. They looked out at the street. From their sofa, they could see a carnival of Christmas lights. A sparkling Santa hanging from number 12's roof swayed gently in the evening breeze. A fluorescent huddle of penguins peeped over 3B's fence. To their left, they could see an army of flashing gingerbread men, and to the right, a life-size, luminous nativity. Mia's mum put her arm around her daughter and gave her a squeeze. "We might not have any lights of our own, but we have the best view of everybody else's. I reckon that makes our house pretty special." Mia looked up at her mum. "Yeah, our house is pretty special." She smiled, revealing gleaming purple teeth. She looked out at the row of houses opposite, and she rested her head on her mum's shoulder. Operation Christmas Light complete.